G'day guys. Hey, today we've got a plenum upgrade happening on the GT. Um, so what I've found out is that the factory plenum on the Boss 290, which is, as far as I know, identical to the Boss 260, it's become a restriction on my car. I'm pulling a little bit of vacuum up around 6,500 RPM. Probably starts happening around 6,000, 6,200. Basically that means that the throttle body is too small, or the volume of the plenum isn't sufficient to feed the engine, or in saying that, it may just be that the volume of the actual factory plenum, it can't fill all areas evenly and doesn't get a good distribution across the manifold. So I know that that probably is the case to a degree. I do see a slight discrepancy between each bank, looking at the wideband for each side of the engine. So it's not too much, but there's a little bit there, which means there's power being left on the table. Factory plenum looks to be a little bit shorter in height, as well as obviously the Yellow Terra plenum has quite a large opening for a twin throttle body to be adapted to it. So I've got here the Ford twin 60mm throttle body here. They come factory on the GT500, which is where I got this. I got it from VMP Performance. It was pretty cheap actually. I think it was like $350 or something like that. I believe it was under $400 shipped from the US, which I think is great. I couldn't find them in Australia like anywhere near that cheap. So I believe they come factory on the 315 as well. It's probably the same throttle body, I'd say. But this has given me a massive increase over the factory 75mm throttle body, which comes standard on the GT and the Boss 260, or the Boss 260 and 290. I did a little bit of work to the factory throttle body, which I'll show you when I pull it off after this. Basically, I just removed half of this shaft here, or one side of this shaft. I half shafted it, we call it, and knife edged the blade. So you can see here, the blade is square on the edge. You basically contour it so it's sharp like a knife edge, and the airflow is less turbulent as it flows over it. If your throttle body is not a restriction, probably not going to gain anything from doing that. It's not going to hurt you, provided you don't take too much off and cause yourself idle issues. But I think I worked it out to be about 8.5% increase in the factory area for the 75mm from what I did, which when it's already a restriction does make a difference, and probably why it goes so well with the factory parts on it. They have been modified slightly. There's only so much you can go and do. I'll show you in a second. The factory inlet to the Boss 260 plenum isn't much larger than the throttle body, so I think it's something like around 80 mils or something like that. So there's no provision to put a 90mm throttle body on, like like an LS1 or something like that. It's not going to do anything for you, which is why I got the Yellow Terra plenum, because it has a larger opening. But I'll show you the plenums now, show you the differences and what you're buying, and then we'll go ahead and put them on the car. So we've got the Yellow Terra plenum here, and the factory Boss 2. This is off a Boss 260, this one actually, but they're the same. Right, so this is the factory opening here. Like I said, you can't fit much larger throttle body on it. I think you can fit an 80mm roughly, but you can remove some of this, but there's only so much you can remove and still have enough room to, or mating surface for a gasket to seal. So this is what it looks like looking in here. And on the factory inlet, you have your inlet openings here, look like trumpets that need to be fed. One of the issues I think with the factory plenum is there's not a lot of space between the roof and those the factory intake manifold, the lower portion of it. And I think the air struggles to get to the far side and feed the bank that feeds from that side. So if you look here, like, it's actually pretty thin. The height isn't too different actually, looking at it now, between this and the other plenum here. Maybe just slightly higher, but if you look at this this opening here, you can see that you got a lot more room for the air to get in. It's a lot nicer looking. So that's what you're buying. you're buying what's probably a better manifold as far as distribution goes, a little bit more volume, which does help. I'll put it on the car and show you before and after, looking through the factory hole here. I probably will run this with a spacer as well. All right, this is the engine here. It's actually eternally stock, 170,000 Ks. There's your stock throttle body, stock plenum, stock intake actually, with just a budget heat shield here that I just made up. Basically just run the factory setup with the pod open. Just put my underdrives on. I've only been on for about a week. I've got the headers down here, nice and wrapped up. You can probably see that. Engine bay needs a clean. I've been dailying the car. Been driven on a few dirt roads lately, unfortunately, so it needs a good clean up. But basically, I want to get these cams in. It won't be a daily. Probably use the Skyline to daily for a little while I get my EF, which is the other car that I have. I'll get that sorted again for a daily. So this will be like a weekender / take it to the track, go to the drags, events kind of car. Yeah, go for cruises and stuff. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start pulling this off now. It's actually quite easy to pull off, so I'll try and show you as much as I can. So put the factory tube off here. Oh, I've ruined my it's my little nozzle. It's my water meth nozzle here. Needs a clean. God, this car's dirty as hell now. Anyway, that's alright. It's due for a clean. So let's go ahead and crack these. Alright, so we got this off. Lift this away. I'll show you that in a second. Anyway, this is inside the factory plenum. You know what? It's actually pretty clean in there because of the water mess. Cleaner than it usually is anyway. Usually covered in oil. That is really nice. I'm sure they'll be all in there, but... Oh, water meth cleans your stuff up. Anyway, see that spacer up here? It's just in there where my finger is. A little spacer. If you were to remove that, basically that plenum lid would drop by that same distance, and the whole roof would drop down that same distance. So you'd have a lot less room for the air to flow through to the far side of the plenum. You don't get as great distribution. So that's the spacer there you can see between the blue and the cast alloy. It's just a phenolic spacer. Helps with a little bit of heat transfer. But the main thing that you want basically is that better plenum distribution. You don't want some cylinders getting more air than others, and that's probably what happens with the factory plenum, and that's probably what happens with the Yellow Terror plenum as well. It's just not as much of an issue. Anyway, we'll go ahead and take this off. I had a few people ask what I've done with the factory throttle body. As you can see there, I've actually removed the one side of the shaft here. Just took it out, disassembled the throttle body, removed it. It looked much nicer when I did it because it was all nice and polished, but things don't stay that way. See the blade's knife edge there? Nice shape to it, as opposed to the other one I showed you earlier. That just helps the airflow. Yeah. Doesn't look like much, but it's actually a little bit of area. So anyway, we won't need that anymore. Let's pull this off. I like making life easy for myself. I'll lift this off. Still moves a lot of oil. That is why you need a couch can. Because oil lowers the octane of your mixture, and you don't want that. Anyway, so I'm just going ahead and cleaning this bad boy off here. It'll take me a while, but I'll try and get it as clean as I can. Get all this old sealant off so I can put it back down before I put the new plenum down. Alright, so we got this sitting on here. I've still got the spacers inside it, so as you can see there's a nice little gap here. And if you have a look at this, that's much nicer, hey? A bit better distribution, I think. So I think I'm going to leave those spacers in. I like the extra height there. I'll just close the bonnet first to make sure it clears, but pretty sure it will. So we're just transferring over these fittings. These just go to the factory crankcase breathing line, so I'll transfer these over. Hopefully before I go racing next I can sort out my catch can setup. So we'll go ahead and take this map sensor off as well. And put it over on this side. So this is looking into the port here. This is the transition between the manifold and the head. Look at the size of that lip. It's a massive lip. And that is terrible for airflow. You can see this side's not so bad. The other side, if I can get back to it. Yeah, big mismatch. Probably a fair bit of power to be picked up here. If I go ahead and port match this whole thing. It's the valves. Notice the ports are quite clean because of the water meth. Actually look pretty nice. So anyway, big mismatch there. I'll take that edge off at a later date. Probably when I do cams. Port match this manifold to the head. At some point I'll clean the heads up as well. Yeah, gains. I like finding things like this. Means I can go faster with a bit of work. Ready to stick this to the plenum. This is the phenolic spacer. We're going to stick it to the plenum, stick the plenum on the engine. I'm just going to give it all a clean down with some isopropyl first. A little isopropyl in a rag. Get any grease off. Isopropyl shouldn't leave a residue either. Cool. We've already cleaned this off, so we'll go ahead and stick it down. Just run a bead across and smooth it out. See if I can do this with one hand. Shit, it's gonna be hard to squeeze now. As long as we've got a pretty good coverage. Alright, so that's down. A lot of people don't put this on as well. I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna try it out. I'll probably try it out without it as well. It's pretty quick to remove the plenum, but I'm gonna chuck it on. We'll see how it goes. I don't think too much plenum volume, or at least this much of a change, when we already have enough, is going to cause too much of an adverse effect for me. So I'm going to put it on, and yeah, see how we go. Need a throttle body gasket, so let's go get one. This is my baby. So we've got this all bolted down, the plug on. Hopefully it's dry by now, the sealant. I'm going to give it a test start. I'm assuming it's going to idle quite high, so I'll probably have to go in, change the tune, adjust the throttle body tables, airflow. So we'll give it a go, see what happens. But yeah, it's going to idle high, but I'll bring it back down. So this is the JLT GT500 intake, which I wanted to use. I'd have to make up a like a custom elbow here and probably move this dipstick. So it may happen. I might end up, because I'm short on time before I go racing, getting the just the FG GT 315 elbow. But you know, in the meantime, I'll start it up and see if I can sort out the idle and everything. So there we go. Yeah, so it looks like I need to bring it down a bit. Updating. Just adjusted the throttle body tables. Took a bit of fuel out at cruise and take it for a drive. Alright, so I've completed the right. Let's go ahead and start this thing up. Let's go ahead and start it up. Oh, nailed it. So, turns out mathematics works. So all I've done here is I went into airflow, throttle body model. These figures, I just calculated the difference between the factory 75mm throttle body and the twin 60 that I put on there. The difference was 28%. So I just multiplied these numbers by 28%, and the predicted throttle angle. So I didn't multiply the table by 28%, but I multiplied this axis here, which is the effective area. It also messed with the mixture, and alright, it's come good. That's pretty much where I wanted it. Must have been still in the cold start loop. Cool. Anyway, we'll test it out when it's warm, but at the moment it's working pretty well. Well, that was successful. We managed to get the plenum on the car. Didn't have any real major issues or anything stopping me from doing it. Didn't need much fuel in the top end because it was already a little bit rich. It did need some fuel down low, which is a good thing, and it's telling me that that it's filling the cylinders better at low RPM, better volumetric efficiencies, more torque, more power. So I think the reason I didn't need as much fuel up top, which is where you'd expect it to flow better, is because I still have the factory exhaust fitted to the car, and I think it's pretty well at its limit. You know, it's probably making 490 horsepower at the engine now. Through the factory system actually is as small as twin 2-inch in some places. So basically, I'm getting that sorted out. I've got to race a mate of mine with a FG Barrett turbo. It's a 6-speed manual as well. He's getting a tune on I think the Wednesday before the racing on the 20th talk time. We've put $100 down for a race, so I'm probably pushing shit uphill, to be honest. You'll probably end up with 320, 330 real kilowatts, which is probably a little bit more than I've got at the moment. I'm hoping I don't lose $100, but if I do, at least it'll make a good video. He'll have, you know, he's got a full 3-inch exhaust, plasma man, I think it's a plasma man, or process ware stage 2 intercooler kit, the piping, the intake. Yeah, all the good stuff to make power, injectors and a tune. So it should be a pretty good race. I'll video it, and yeah, that's why I've been getting the car ready, because I'm going to need all the mods I can get with this NA 5.4. Goes pretty well. We'll see if it goes that well though. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments section. I'll try and answer them as best I can. And hopefully, very soon, I'll have some video of this out on the road and out on the track doing its thing. I've got drags on the 19th. Hopefully they don't get shut down. Last time I ran a 12.3. Since then, I've done this plenum and the 25% underdrive kit, the Powerbond underdrive pulleys, which, you know, sometimes nets people up to 10 real horsepower. I think that'll be a little bit more once I fit the cams and I'm spinning some more RPM. The cams are still getting made. Should be spinning 74, 7500 RPM once they're in the car. But there's a few other things I need to do first. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Have a good one, guys.